Alrighty, hello little friend, happy birthday for today, 26. So, yes, happy birthday. Cool, so you gave me your birth details, which is cool because it means that I've been able to do up a natal chart for you. This is just a very basic, there's nothing special about this, it's just, it's not very, what's the word? It's not very detailed, but I've just basically plotted the planets where they are because the reason that I wanted to look at it was to see what house is activated for you this year. Our natal chart gives us a look at where all the planets are and where everything is at the moment that you're born. But every year, different segments of your chart are activated in 12-year cycles. So this year, in your 26th year, the third house is activated for you. Now, the third house is all about communication, short-term travel. It's also the house of the goddess. But basically it's also siblings and cousins, like people that you've known since you were really young, like friends from childhood kind of thing. So that this house is active for you this year, but really what we're looking for is where the planet that rules this house, so here you've got Pisces in this house, and the planet that rules Pisces is Jupiter, and he's up here in the 11th house. Now your natal Jupiter is retrograde, and he's co-present with your North Node and your Pluto, which is also retrograde, and they're in Scorpio. So I want you to think back to when you were 14, because that was 12 years ago. Yep, that was 12 years ago. And I want you to think about the themes that were really prevalent in your life when you were 14. And what I'm going to suggest is that it related to your peers, the people who you were kind of trying to cooperate with. Generally, we're looking at people who are part of our social group, and our place in our social group. So this year for you, what I'm seeing is that you're going to be experiencing similar themes in those areas. So to do with your friendship groups, your social networks. Now also it's going to be people in your like your colleagues, people that you work with, people that you need to communicate with and that you need to collaborate with and try to network with, and the people that you try to cooperate with, particularly in terms of like your career, your creative output, that kind of thing. That section of your life this year, from your birthday today until this same day next year, 2021, is really what's kind of active, the themes that are active in your life. So think about how that went for you 12 years ago when you were 14, and think about the sorts of issues that brought up for you in your life, and how you had to, like, the resources that you had to draw on to get through those sorts of issues. Now, what I'm looking at here is, because you've got Jupiter retrograde, and you've also got Pluto retrograde, and you've also got your North Node in Scorpio, it's suggesting to me that this area of your life, it's not an easy area of your life to navigate. You probably find that, particularly because you've got Capricorn rising, I would suggest that in your life you find it kind of hard to relate to your peers. You probably feel like older than your peers in a way, that they're kind of on a different wavelength to you, and that perhaps they don't relate to you, and that you kind of, there's a little bit of like a miscommunication there, and as a result it's kind of something that you've kind of been touch and go with. Like, you kind of have tried to make connections in your social realm, but that always feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and it's something that other people, I feel like they kind of don't really they don't understand where you're coming from, and they don't really kind of understand your perspective, and you can feel as though you're sort of really different to them, and that you're just kind of not getting through to them, and that you're misunderstood. There's this sense that you're misunderstood in a way, and that's something for you that in your life is going to be a recurrent theme, and it is something that you're going to have to work to overcome. And this year, that's really active for you. That's going to be something that's coming up for you this year. Now, it does feel as though, because you've got the ruler of Scorpio down here in your 4th house, and it's Mars. Mars is the planet of authority figures, also men, and this is in your 4th house, which is your house of the past and your parents. So I would suggest that for you, an issue that's kind of feeding into this problem with you in connecting with people has to do with like a male authority figure from your past who's tried to be quite dominant with you, and quite tried to exert a lot of power and influence over you. And it's kind of like it's really influenced how you kind of interact with people now. Probably your ability to have that kind of sense that you relate to people in your peer network, people your same age as you especially, because it just feels like they don't understand where you're coming from, because your past to do with this has been really kind of probably a little bit oppressive for you in this zone, and it's probably actually kind of just influence the way that you come across to people. And you can come across as quite kind of very set in your mindset, very set in your ways, and have quite structured ideas, quite structured ways of dealing with people, because you actually really like structure and order in your life. That's coming from your Capricorn ascendant. And Capricorn's very much about they are actually about respecting authority and routine, funnily enough. So, and we see the ruler of Capricorn down here in your 3rd house. So it's suggesting to me that you sort of offset this idea of authority to your siblings or to people in your childhood who you were very young friends with, even your cousins or whatnot, but you kind of invested that authority and that structure in those people rather than in this parental kind of figure. So this has kind of led to a very kind of unique mindset for you, and I think it's actually kind of created this very sort of enforced kind of protective barrier around you as an individual. So this year the focus really is on looking at your communication and how you communicate, especially coming from that perspective, like the communication style that you use, and how your protective kind of wall that you put around yourself, how that's perhaps limiting your ability to communicate in really effective ways and cooperate with people and to build up your peer network. See whether your kind of regimented thinking and the way that you go about communicating with people is perhaps putting up barriers to you between people who could potentially actually be friends, colleagues, people who help you kind of get along in life, whether that's helping you or whether that's actually hindering you. I know that there's study coming up for you this year, and I think that's what this communication is actually going to be about for you this year, and I think that's what these people are going to be, this peer group is for you this year. People in your kind of in that study zone, I think, more so than people in your career sector this year. So Yeah, that's kind of what's activated for you this year. And just think back to when you were 14 and how things went for you around those topics, and what you may have learned from that in the last 12 years, and what you can kind of draw on to help you through that. Now, you also asked about your career specifically in this reading. Your the house that we kind of look to, the two houses that we look to for career, are the sixth house, which is basically your day-to-day activity and your well-being. So it's kind of like your routine, what you do on a day-to-day basis. And you've got Gemini here, and the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, which is in your fifth house, which is where your sun is also in Taurus. Mercury is basically conjunct the sun. They're very close to one another. So I do feel as though communication for you is an issue. I do feel as though you perhaps come across in a way that you don't intend to come across to people, and as a result, people kind of like shut communication down with you, and I think that's a source of frustration for you, and it's kind of limiting this ability for you to to build up more of a social network that is more opening doors for you. I think that is a problem for you. And when I say a problem, it's just like a frustration. It's not, I mean, you're only 26. It's not something that's going to limit you forever, but it's definitely something that you can kind of think about, like how much of your own communication style, based on your kind of experience in your past, has kind of contributed to your to the relationships that you have, and whether or not they're as successful or as nurturing and as rewarding for you as they could possibly be. So anyway, you've got the you've got Venus here in the sixth house of your day-to-day activity. So it does suggest to me that you need to feel passionate about what you're doing every day. It's really important to you that you have a career, that you do things that are really meaningful to you. Also related to women, perhaps, working with women, for women, or for the benefit of women. And this relates also to, ties in specifically with your career house, because you have Libra in your house of career, the 10th house. Now, Libra is ruled by Venus. So they're also trine, so they're making a nice house aspect here. So Libra is all about justice. It's all about equity. It's about balance. It's about addressing things that seem unfair. Librans can kind of do this to an extent that they actually don't see, they can become a little bit blinded by this. By looking for equity for everybody, they can kind of miss out on individuals' needs. So that's something to take into account. But I think in terms of career overall, what you need to be investing in, or what will feel meaningful for you, is a career that relates to justice, to justice and social justice, it's going to be a career that relates to quite a lot of intellectual endeavor. It will be, it is a career path that requires a lot of internal kind of intellectual processing, if that's the kind of career path that you're going to go down. We also have in your house of, oh no, I won't worry about that. But yeah, so justice is really important, and feeling passionate about your career is also really important. You need to feel as though day to day what you're doing is having a useful, meaningful impact, particularly around women's issues, I'd say, because you've got Venus here. Now, it will be hard for you. It's not going to be this will feel like hard work for you. If this is like this career path that you want to go down will feel like hard work, because you do have Venus, Mercury here under the sun, and that can be a little bit tricky to navigate because it can mean, like I've already said, that the way that you communicate can be misconstrued by other people. So that's something you need to be mindful of, but it's not something that can't be overcome. It is something that you just can work with, okay? But it will point out that at the moment, Uranus, which is this symbol here, he's actually in Taurus. He's in your house, in your sun, around your sun this year. Now Uranus, he's not the happiest in Taurus. It is a little bit difficult for him to be there. He's a bit unhappy there. But he is being helped by your natal Uranus, which is over here. So he's going to kind of support him. He's working with him. Now, he's all about radical transformation. So I would feel as though this year, for you, when you're communicating, when you're creating something this year, in your creative endeavors this year, in your endeavor to kind of change things up for yourself and to change the way that you actually the way that you put things out into the world, it is going to be really different for you this year. And I think that's where we're looking directly opposite here at your house that's been activated this year. They're directly opposite each other. And so this, all this kind of communication, this really radical transformation about how you do it, how you address it, you're going to learn a lot this year about, I think through this study that you're getting into, you're going to learn a lot from the people that you associate with, not just your teachers, but more specifically the people, your other students. You're going to learn a lot from them. And if you can kind of just be open and receptive to the ideas that they bring to the table and to the ways that they can actually be supportive of you and your own learning this year, it's the opportunity is there for you, okay? It will be really different for you. It will feel really different for you, but it is open for you. I think that's all I really wanted to talk about with that. Yeah, that's probably enough for that kind of thing this year at the moment. So anyway, yep, that was a basic little rundown of the astrology for you. So let's get into a reading. We'll do a year reading. I know you want to do I've already got some cards up here for you. I did a Lenormand reading just earlier to have a look at. I was just sort of fiddling around, and that's why I thought I may as well do this now. And that is to do with your career, and I will do just a basic career spread as well. But let's have a look at the year ahead for you. So we'll go month by month, starting this month, or no, starting next month because it's almost happening. But first up, let's just get an overall understanding of the archetypal energy and themes surrounding you for the year ahead. I think we've already touched on communication for you this year and networking, and kind of just recognizing the way that you tend to communicate, the way that you communicate and how other people perhaps aren't on your wavelength. We already know that they haven't had the past that you've had. They haven't had the issues with authority figures that you've had, particularly male authority figures. So we already know that's kind of set the stage for you. So this year, definitely, we are looking at communication. We're looking at building up social networks with our peers and kind of like looking at new ways to do that, transforming the way that you do that, particularly from your own output and taking ownership of what you're putting out there and how that influences how other people feed back into you. So we've got the Death card for you, which is a great card. The Death card is all about transformation. It's about radical transformation. It's such a nice card to have. It seems freaky, but it's actually a beautiful card to have because it's talking about the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. Things have to come to an end for you in order for you to, in one domain or in an area or in some areas of your life, you need to just say goodbye to those things, be grateful for those things for being in your life and for getting you to this point, and then just kind of embracing like what's coming ahead and how you can transform and how you can change this year. I think with Uranus in Taurus this year with your sun, it's definitely going to be a year of transformation for you, especially in terms of how you create and what you put out there. Also probably to do with your children as well, because it's in the 5th house. Kids are really important to you. We can see that with your sun in that house. There could be some kind of transformation around your kids, but I think it actually is more to do with just your creativity in general. Yeah, your creativity in general, that's what it is. So big change around that for you this year, big change around that, and how that's going to build social networks for you that do feed into your career, for sure. Okay, so I'll just leave him up there, and let's just give these bad boys a shuffle and do a month by month breakdown of the year ahead. Keep in mind what was happening when you were 14 and what was going on there. I would say there were frustrations with you and your peers, feeling misunderstood, feeling unheard, feeling as though you didn't belong perhaps, and that's what you're going to be kind of you got another chance this year to kind of make that different, okay, to really change that up from 12 years of experience. Okay, let's use that for number 1. Right, you've got the World card, and the World card in what am I doing? Oh, next year. Okay, I mean next month. So May, starting with the World. So there's like you're kind of starting from a point where you've actually achieved a great deal in what you already have, like in kind of all facets of your life. You've achieved quite a lot actually. You've kind of spiritually, materially, in terms of your relationships, all with your health, all aspects of your life. You've achieved quite a great deal. Actually, health for you. Health health for you. Women's issues to do with your body throughout your life. Female issues to do with your body is going to be kind of something that you need to manage in your life as well. Okay, anyway, so starting in May, yada, 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 what was I saying? Yep, you're starting from basically a place where you have a great deal to begin with, which is great. You're beginning the year, where you're beginning next month, starting from a place of kind of whole integration. There's a lot there for you to draw on. You're kind of beginning from, the end almost, which is basically the Death card as well. Okay, May. Let's have a look at June. Yep, 2 of Wands. So there are, in June, there's going to be choices for you, and basically this is showing you that wherever you choose to focus your energy in June is you kind of going to have this perhaps in June you're going to feel as though you're kind of torn between where your energy needs to be focused around June. So that could be a little bit of a challenge actually, but in June it's definitely going to be about the potential is there, the potential's inside you to kind of work up to something in June. So we're going to be yeah, so they could feel as though you're kind of trying to balance things, different areas of your life, balance where you're channeling your energy, because you do have these choices around where you're going to kind of invest yourself. So it will be about trying to figure out quite where to kind of allot your energy, because you have the potential, well, you're going to kind of need to be focusing it in different areas of your life, and wherever you do focus it, it's going to be beneficial, but you're going to have to kind of be thoughtful around where you direct it. So July, you've got the High Priestess. So by July, you need to kind of be thinking about thinking more intuitively, listening to your internal dialogue. You may actually encounter like this internal kind of dialogue that's a little bit about you may be questioning, can I do this? Can I really commit to this? You have the moon. This brings me to your moon. You have the moon in the 12th house. The moon in the 12th house is really telling me that you kind of like can have a tendency to be your own worst critic, and to kind of really feel on a very deep level, kind of beat yourself up a little bit with like what you talk about and the words that you use about yourself and how you feel about yourself. By July, you've got the High Priestess, and I feel like by July you're going to be having some second thoughts, probably to do with having to figure out where and how you're going to invest your energy, because you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed by June. By July, you're going to be thinking, can I do this? Having some second thoughts about it. You need to just listen to yourself. You need to still yourself, take deep breaths, just have some time alone, take some time out to get in touch with what's really important to you as an individual, rather than to everybody else around you, and just kind of focus on your needs and bring that in a little bit. Bring your energy back to yourself a little bit, rather than spreading it so thin all the time. Other people are there to take up the slack for you, and if other people aren't kind of stepping up to the plate, you just need to use your words and ask for that help. But definitely listen to what your body is telling you, particularly in July. Okay, August. All right, we've got two cards. We've got the Lovers, and we've got the King of Swords. All right, so you actually can do this endeavor that you're embarking on. Inherently, you do have the intellect to get this, to make this happen for yourself. What I would suggest is that you need to turn off that internal dialogue that's telling you you can't do this and questioning it. It's going to feel like a little bit it will feel a little bit overwhelming for you at the beginning, but what you need to do is just focus on being, you've got the Lovers here, so apart from the fact that you have a supportive partner around you, you have a supportive partner around you, that may actually be somebody like a resource for you to draw on here and bounce things off, and to kind of help you share this load. I think it's important for you to recognize these other aspects of your internal self that need to come forward a little bit. These aspects of yourself that actually can contribute to this exercise that you're going forward with, to give them I think this is to do intellectually, because you've got the King of Swords. I think it's just about recognizing within yourself that you have the intellectual capacity to make this happen, and just to have faith in that and to trust that. I think that's kind of feeding back into July. That's kind of where this doubt's coming through from July, and then just by August you're going to really be forced to kind of to tap into your intellect. You do have it, it's there in abundance. You can actually make this happen. You've got the you do have the mental skills to do this. If you feel as though you're being a little bit challenged by it, that's when you need to ask for time out and ask for the people around you to support you. So just kind of look out for that around August, September. You actually do have so many resources around you, and you are beginning this journey this year from a really well-rounded, well-crafted place. This year that is going to be about a little bit challenging, about kind of looking at how you communicate, looking at how you, I think looking at how you write in particular is going to be an issue. And also what I would warn you about this year, just thinking about the house that's activated and your peers and knowing what's ahead of you this year personally, don't compare yourself. The temptation will be to compare yourself with your peers. Don't compare yourself with your peers. That's going to be a self-defeating pattern for you. Don't compare yourself on an intellectual level with what your peers are doing this year, okay? It's not going to be beneficial or useful for you. It's actually going to feed into that internal dialogue of competition, separation, where really you have this opportunity to build up useful, helpful social networks this year. Okay, September, you got the Emperor and the Five of Swords. So there will be a change around here. It does feel as though you can, by September, there's going to be an older man, probably in a position, probably a teacher or somebody in that arena, somebody who's well respected, well admired, who's actually going to be able to help you change up the way that you're communicating, change up the way that he's going to help you actually, probably he could like take on a mentor role for you if you give him that opportunity. What was this, September? Yeah, so by September, if you give this person an opportunity, they're going to help you change up the way that you're doing your work, your thinking and your work. And the way that you're expressing yourself, that support is there for you. And this won't feel awkward for you, because it will feel as though this man is somebody who you actually admire and you have respect for. And yeah, they're just going to, if you can trust this person to help you to change what it is that you're doing, especially around the way that you're thinking and communicating, they're going to help you, and it will be useful for you. Was that September? October. Yep, you got the Queen of Pentacles in October. So there's also just be patient. October might be time where you just kind of do feel as though you're just going to pull it all back again. Just observe people around you, see what the people around you are doing, see how they're kind of getting through what they're doing. Yeah, it's a time you're just going to need to be patient. You're going to have to draw on your resources. Remember that things will come to you. You will pay for what you want, whether that's because you will be working less, there's going to be less money coming in, so just be patient, because it's kind of, you're looking at like a long-term goal at the moment, and by October, that's going to be quite evident. You're really going to have to focus on long-term goals. Be really patient. Be observant around. Be observant as to what other people are doing. Yeah, and just kind of remember the big picture. and nurture what it is that you're doing. Just be really kind to yourself and nurturing to yourself. Be mindful of your health and whether you're feeling run down, and whether you're feeling as though you're this kind of is out of balance for you. Yeah, so just be mindful of that. Then November, are we up to November? You've got the Ace of Cups. So by November, there's some kind of rejuvenation. Like it's kind of like your passion has been renewed for something. It could actually just be in your relationship itself with your partner. There's this chance for this kind of rejuvenated passion. And I would say that it's to do with what's going on, sort of in this choice that you're making, where to kind of invest your energy, and then kind of having to like reflect on yourself and trust your instincts and have faith in yourself and recognize that you have the power to go through with this, and then drawing on your partner, because you're kind of being asked on an intellectual level to really work a lot harder and to really kind of reach for something that has felt kind of a little bit out of your league almost, and then you're going to be like you're going to be in this situation where you're looking to this older man who you actually do admire and respect, which is cool, because this person's going to bring about some kind of change about the way that you've been thinking about things so far, whether or not you can cope with this. In particular, whether you can cope with this, whether you can cope with having your energy kind of in so many different places. Then the next month, you're kind of going to, like, after this person's advice, you're going to be able to sit back and have a better opportunity to look at the big picture and remember that at the moment you're on this journey to kind of shift things around how you're networking and the opportunities that you're building up for yourself in the world on a career level, I think in particular, and also to do with like looking at like dismantling some of the barriers that you kind of even subconsciously erect between yourself and other people of your own age, these kind of things that keep you separate from other people. And then after that kind of like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that 6 month, that half year little kind of journey, you're going to get to this point where like I think particularly after here, where you're going to feel like reinvigorated and rejuvenated, and the energy is going to come back to you again, which is really nice. I feel like I've just filmed this whole thing sideways, so we'll see. Hang on a second. If I film this sideways, I apologize in advance. Okay, so May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Actually, it might feel as though you get some kind of an actual respite, some kind of break there, some kind of chance to, it may actually be that a lot of this stuff that's been kind of fed in from your past, and some of this emotional baggage that's been kind of messing with your head, and kind of messing with how you're communicating and all of this, it feels as though you can let go of a lot of that by then. Okay, and another ace of, yeah, okay, that's cool. So the Ace of Swords. So yeah, when this kind of break happens where you kind of, I think, just get some patience back, like take some time out again, get your head back kind of thing, and feel a little bit more centered. I do think this card is actually you. It's to do with earth signs. I think after that little break in whatever month I said that was, October, after that little break where you get to get your head back again and feel like just more patient and content, probably actually like feel more connected with your kids again as well. Feels as though this energy around here is going to kind of feel separate from that. So when you have this time out, it's going to kind of reset things again for you, which is nice, on an emotional level and like intellectually, to do with like how your mind's working, how you're thinking, how you're perceiving the world. It's just going to reset things over those next few months, around October, November, December, which is nice. Just give you a reprieve. So January next year, you've got the Hierophant. Okay, so the High Priest. January next year, you're going to have, again, some kind of guidance. This time it's more to do with, this guy's guidance was more to do on real practical levels, just about how to kind of operate in the world, you know, how to kind of manage your finances, how to juggle things, how to juggle your workload, that kind of thing. Really practical kind of advice that's going to change your mind around some things and help you kind of navigate this kind of mix up in your mind, like your mind's feeling a little bit muddled. Then by January next year, there's going to be this other kind of figure that comes to you who's going to help you kind of on a more emotional, spiritual, nurturing level. I don't know if you have spiritual beliefs or what your world is to do with that, but it could just be somebody who's, you may even like, it could just be somebody who, like if you listen to like meditation podcasts, or if you listen to kind of self-help podcasts, or if you read those kind of books, it could be something like that you kind of pick up in January, and this person gives you some wisdom, some advice, just something to help you kind of internally, more personally, less to do with about how you're working on a practical level. Like it's more to do with like supporting you as an individual internally, spiritually, that kind of thing. So that person's available to you in January, and that advice can help you to get through the next few months. February. All right, February, Judgment. Okay, so it will feel as though you've actually been through quite a learning curve. You need to just kind of let go of your past here. Let go perhaps of this that's happened. Reset again. Just kind of reflect on the past and just sort of give thanks for it. Be grateful for those opportunities for you to learn and to grow. And there will be a sense of like, am I worthy? Am I worthy of the things that I'm trying to achieve and trying to attain? Do I have this like internal kind of sense that I deserve good things, or do I have this kind of internal dialogue that's telling me that I deserve shitty things, but the point is that you are worthy and that you will be found worthy. So you could get some nice feedback from somebody, this kind of good feedback from somebody, feels like. But yeah, also just the focus is on just kind of letting go, really, of the past, recognizing it for what it was, recognizing it for where you got to be, for the kind of person that it's created in you, for the kinds of resources and skills, techniques, the things that you've built up for yourself. Good things come to good people as long as your intentions are always pure. You will, good things do come to you, even if it seems like sometimes you have to go through a lot of negatives to get there. They're the kinds of things that by February you can kind of let go of and just recognize that, yeah, the path ahead that I'm trying to create for myself, I deserve it. I deserve this. Even if back here where you're feeling as though I'm not kind of investing as much in areas of my life that I normally would. I'm not kind of nurturing other people as much as I normally would. Just recognize in February, you know, you're going to be called on to remember that, yeah, you deserve this. You're doing this for a positive purpose. Like, your intention is pure and what you hope to attain is pure. March, you've got the Knight of Wands. Okay, so by March next year, you're going to be up and at it again. Lots of activity, lots of really focused, directed energy, okay? Lots of drawing on all those resources around you again, but this time it feels like whereas this year, within the next few months, your energy is going to feel like kind of like you need to make choices about where to put your energy. By March next year, it's going to feel more obvious to you. Yes, this is where my energy's going. This is how I'm going to direct it. This is what I've got to draw on. These are the resources around me. Everything I need is in place now, and I can just power ahead. And you have like much more focus, much more clarity about where you're going, and much more intentional sort of directed energy to achieve these things that you realize, that you recognize, these new passions, this new direction, this new kind of thing that you recognize that you deserve and that you're worthy of. And yeah, so by March next year, I know it's a while away, but you've got to go through this process to get there, to realize that yes, this is what I want to do, and I am determined to achieve this. And then by April next year, April next year, oh, how cool is that? You've got death again. So April next year, you're going to have another new beginning, which is interesting because, you know, by April next year, nearly your birthday again. So then your horoscope is going to move into the next house. So the next part of your astrology is going to be activated. So yeah, this is, look, you've got such a journey coming to you this year. You're beginning at the end and you're going to end at another beginning, which is really cool. So it's a big cycle for you this year. It feels like a big opportunity. If you want to make the most of your ability to really change your life in a really drastic way this year, it's there for you to do. The support is there, even though it's going to feel really different, unusual. It's going to challenge you. You're going to question yourself whether or not you can actually do this. You're going to be wondering, why have I done this? And am I letting people down? You're really a stickler for you're almost OCD. You're really a stickler for doing things strategically planned out, okay? You can actually draw on that to make this work for you this year. You may need to be a little bit more flexible around your thinking. You will need to change it up a little bit. How you think about things, how you think about structure and order and routine, it's going to change for you. But it's all there for you. Like this year, the journey that you're going on this year is a journey that's really it's really well supported. The energy is there for you to do this year, to make this leap this year. It will open up a lot of doors for you. It will open up a lot of self-awareness for you, it feels like. It will challenge you, but I think that once you kind of get everything in balanced and harmonious, which is what you like, and you kind of get over this guilt trip that you might go on a little bit, feeling as though you're unworthy of this and that you don't deserve it, especially if things in your world, if people kind of make demands on you, but you are supported. You've got a lot of support around you. There are people there that are willing to help you. Practically, very practically, but also on a mental, kind of intellectual, spiritual level. Strengths, yeah. The sun, it kind of, wherever you put your energy is, you make things happen for yourself. You make things happen. You create things. You have no problem where you focus your energy, things arise. Okay. And actually, I do feel as though you will things are going to change for you a little bit. You will have some revelations this year. It's not going to be like profound, kind of earth-shattering, like midlife crisis kind of stuff that most of the other people I read for are having. It's just more like you're going to have these nice kind of illuminating moments where you realize that I think you can actually let go of some things from the past, and that through your dialogues and through your communication with your peers this year, you will have some really nice revelations about yourself and the world, really. Obstacles this year, 3 of Cups. So just, again, it is just kind of letting go of this past kind of things that kind of weigh you down sometimes, past emotional sort of stuff. Also, just feeling why would you have the 3 of Cups as an obstacle? I think it's just actually a matter of being patient for you this year. It's going to feel like you're absorbing a lot. There's a lot coming to you. You want to make things... I feel like you're going to have these different points in your journey this year where you get a taste of what the future can be and of what you can actually be doing with your life. I think you just need to get a grip on, feel like there is going to be like this passionate sort of, you're going to dial in with your passion a little bit around some things that might actually be quite surprising for you. And I just think what you need to do is really just kind of be patient with it. It is going to still be like this. You're only at the very beginning of this journey, of this little thing. Strengths, obstacles, opportunities. Yeah. You do have, it's a 4 of Wands. You do have the opportunity this year to just kind of fold back into a like a really balanced kind of support network. I really feel like your support network is there for you this year, and they will step up to the plate. You've worked really hard throughout, I already said this, you've worked really hard to build a really kind of well-rounded, whole, secure platform to launch off from now. So that is, if things feel as though they're overwhelming for you this year, and you feel as though you've made the wrong choice about where to focus your energy, just remember your support network around you. Draw on your support network, trust them, and just listen to them, and you will have these chances to just kind of get your energy back on a level where everything feels more balanced again. Alrighty. Now, what I wanted to show you was, I did this earlier, this is specifically to do with your career. I just asked what your career might entail. Now, we've got the Tower, which does relate to institutions, to like prisons, to big banks, to, you know, just big institutions, big workplaces, big kind of corporate kind of things. You also have the letter, and which is about written correspondence, any kind of communication, messages, that kind of thing. Quite transformative though. So messages that are really transformative, words, kind of written stuff, documents basically that are really transformative. And also this I thought was really interesting. You've got the ship and the whip. So the ship is about journeys, travel, but it's also about navigating different pathways, navigating the world. And you got the whip, which is about punishment, but also about repetitive kind of stuff, like repetitive work, and also like harsh words, like repetitive words. Now, immediately for me, what I saw in this was the government. I feel like you could actually get a government job. This to me just relates to convicts coming from overseas to Australia. That was the immediate thing that I thought. And then this guy kind of thought of prisons, or justice system. I do feel like your career is in justice in some way. Whether it's law itself, I'm still not sure whether it's going to be fully law. But it does feel as though you're working for the government in a way, creating contracts that make, creating documents in the justice system. It may be law, but somewhere in the justice system that you're making these contracts that are really, contracts maybe, really transformative in a very kind of big way, in a quite a profound way. It could relate to punishment. So it could actually be like, it could be law, but it could actually just be the Justice Department in a different way as well. But I would encourage you that to aim really high, to have high expectations of yourself and what you can do this year as you're kind of setting off on this journey. Just listen to your intuition. Why did you want to do this in the first place? What is your intention in following this pathway? What is it that you want to do in the world, and how, what is it that you're passionate about? I feel as though if you set the bar really high, you're going to get there. And it certainly feels as though, and it looks as though, this could be a government position to do with justice, with the Justice Department, to do with documents that are quite transformative and are quite, even writing like new kinds of documents or contracts or that kind of thing for people. So to do with actually birth as well. So if it was kind of family law that you were looking at, this would also make sense for sure. Anyway, I think that's where we'll leave it. That was pretty cool. I think I have filmed the whole fucking thing sideways, so sorry if I have. Yeah, cool. Happy birthday. Love you very much. And I'll get this posted as soon as I can. See ya.